Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup podcast episode 105. I'm your host Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
Good. It's been a week.
Yeah,
Yeah. Work's
yeah,
been hell and crazy. But
yeah.
also some excited things in cards happened, which is super exciting.
Is it now? What was exciting in cards?
Everfest is destroyed, John. It's gone.
I
Everfest
know.
Unlimited.
That
Didn't even
was the
hit the
best
streets
news.
except for one
One
case.
box.
One
Our
case.
case. Yeah,
One
yeah,
case got shipped
yeah.
out to somewhere in New Zealand by
Yeah.
accident
I
instead
remember
of
when
a
that
first
happened.
edition.
That was all over Twitter.
Yeah.
Pretty
But, so
funny.
it did exist, but no more. It has been destroyed. So we're going to
Yeah.
be talking about that, talking everything that happened over the weekend at the Flesh and Blood event in Queensland, and our thoughts on Deathmatch Arena, the new location Fable, I like a lot. And what else do you want to talk about?
Whatever comes to mind, I'm sure we'll babble
Cool.
about it for a while.
Played some more Star Wars Unlimited,
Oh, yeah.
so we can talk about that. More cards are still being shown, which is exciting. And signed up for pre-release for that, which is very exciting. But at the end of this week, we have heavy hitters pre-release, which I'm also very excited for.
You can make it out to any of them?
Yeah. Plan on doing the Friday
Nice.
one. So yeah, it should be fun. Um, Still, I think I'm sticking with my plan of not going crazy, opening a bunch of packs, and just buying the exact cards that I want for my Kasai deck, which is basically a playable set of every warrior card
Gotcha.
in the highest rarity. But that's my plan. Where do you want to start with this?
Well, it all started with an interview.
Yeah, we'll link it down in the description below. Fluke and Box interviewed James White this past weekend, creator of Flesh and Blood, head of LSS, where we learned a bunch of things. And it really showed that LSS still very much cares about the collection aspect of Flesh and Blood, which was very refreshing to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. He I liked some of the business policies that were pointed out and kind of the approach. I thought it was interesting, differentiates them from different games out there, which is nice. It's nice to hear. Very refreshing.
Yeah, do we want to get into that? Because I know it's somewhat different in that it just doesn't all hit distribution at once.
Yeah, let's just dive in. Why
Yeah.
not? So one of the main things that was said was Everfest Unlimited has been destroyed. Was destroyed. I think he said like 6 months
Shredded,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is fantastic. I don't know if you guys listen to the market update, but I have regularly wondered, like, where's my unlimited? Where is that? They said they're going to release it. They said they were going to release it last September, the September before. Like, it was over a year plus. They kept saying they were going to release it, and I guess 6 months ago they decided they were just going to destroy it. The
I, th-
market didn't need it.
I think around
Uh,
that time it was removed from the website too.
Yeah, I think so too. And they originally said it was just because people were harassing them too much, and this made it easier to answer.
Yeah.
I think I even got a comment like that recently in one of my videos before this interview came out. Someone was like, "Oh yeah, he said that." I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that."
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's what they do. They destroy extra product they don't need. They monitor the secondary market. And the thing that I thought was interesting and unique for them, and that he pointed out, James pointed out specifically, was that they have their own warehouses, 5 of them across the
Mm-hmm.
globe, that they hold product in and release to distribution, as needed for the market based on the market data they get back from distribution, which is market data they get back from the retailers. It's like this multi-tier thing. Now, clearly, either this is a new process, which is possible since like Monarch, or the data they were using wasn't exactly accurate and the whole Monarch debacle happened. I imagine this is new since Monarch. I think they set up the warehouse and did all that stuff probably as they were moving into 2.0. That was probably what happened in the 6 months preceding 2.0 coming out, to just set up a way where they could manage outflows and know exactly the numbers
Right.
themselves,
Yeah.
right? Which I think is smart. Like that allows them to manage the supply in a much smarter way. And you've heard it here from me many times. Like my complaint is too much supply. It all comes down to that. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, you can have policies, you can have map, you can have all these things in place, but if there's too much supply and the market can't bear it, your price drops. People will figure out a way to sell it cheaper than they're allowed to, and all the rest.
Right. But
Um,
they probably want these boxes to be affordable and to be, obviously they want them to be selling for around map. Otherwise they wouldn't have the map pricing. But
Yeah, I'm not gonna give them a free and clear on this. The prices are below map because there's still too many boxes in the market, so
right.
they're probably still tweaking the numbers and figuring out what makes sense. Which makes sense. Like say 2.0 was the launch of this system, right?
Sure.
You have no data. You have whatever data you can vaguely get from distro, which we know is falsified in some cases, right?
Yeah.
Uh, a la Monarch.
Yeah.
Um, so they have very bad data and they need a few sets to get the data sorted. I think that's absolutely reflective in some of the market data. I think I've even pointed it out before. Uprising Dynasty feels like there's too much. Dynasty is actually better than most, but it felt like Outsiders and Dust Till Dawn recovered faster. Remember, I was talking, well, maybe if you paid attention to my stupid charts,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have pointed out how there's like the check mark shows up way faster for these. I was wondering if they adjusted things because it felt like some of the later 2.0 products they did a better job with. Evo being the exception, probably because it's solo class and people just don't have the same demand.
Yeah. I think
So there's
it's,
there's
yeah.
multiple variables to sort out, and they're working on it. It seems like, but
Yeah. They're in
regard,
the let's try all the things phase and see what
yep,
works.
yeah, and regardless, having their own warehouses gives them a hell of a lot more control, you
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
and a lot more data, and they do care about the secondary market. That's what they said. So I think it's interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Absolutely. The what was it?
What's that?
I lost my train of thought.
Oh, well, what do you think about the general, I guess, concept of them destroying extra product? Because by the way, he did say Everfest wasn't the only product that's been destroyed.
Right. Right.
So do you think
Um
Evo lost, like boxes were just wrecked,
no,
like
I
they just
don't think so
tossed
yet.
them
I don't think so yet.
too
I
early?
think yeah, I think it's too early.
What do
I
you
th-
think would have been it?
I think it might be similar to so Flesh and Blood does not have a standard rotation, right? But you look at other big games, right? And card games, when you are making a card game, I assume you look at the big two, Pokemon and Magic, and see how they do things. And obviously, they are doing things different, which is how they should. And I really do like this method of releasing it to distribution as needed. But I think they will release it as needed for like maybe a 2 year timeline, like a 2 to 3 year timeline. So any box, any set that was released in the past 2 to 3 years is readily available. Um, I think that's healthy. Anything older than that, maybe they start destroying if there's too much of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could figure that out probably early. Well, maybe not because the sets
Because
that
anything and
refer to other sets, you kind of still want them on the shelf,
right,
right? So
right,
you don't want to do it preemptively. Like
right,
you wouldn't want to destroy Monarch preemptively unless your data just showed it was terribly, terribly received or something. Because when Dust Till Dawn came out, suddenly Monarch is in vogue again, right?
right. And
So
then you shredded it,
yeah,
and then
yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you're
but
saying. Yeah,
and
I agree.
then it causes spikes on cards and like
Yeah, yeah,
recent cards that you would think players would want to have access to.
yeah.
Um,
It sounded like Mon probably had some stuff shredded.
yeah, I could see that.
The way he was talking about because he said it wasn't the only set, and I don't know if he said it was this. Maybe it was actually, you know what? It was probably Tails. It was probably Tails.
Could be
It's
tails.
probably Tails Unlimited. Think about that.
Yeah,
Everyone was like, "Why do we even need Unlimited?" They probably destroyed the heck out of
because
Tails
that's the one that
Unlimited.
came out right before
Yeah,
Everfest
and
Unlimited would have
yeah,
come
and
out.
that was the false data on Monarch, so they like way overprinted it. I
Yep.
bet Tails was destroyed. Yeah, that actually makes the most sense. Huh. I wonder if Tails Unlimited someday will be this rare commodity. I know a lot of the cards are inverted. Unlimited is more expensive than
It's
than
insane.
first. Well, it's because no one bought it. No one ever bought any of it.
I know. So if you're trying to like master set or whatever, right? Have
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
each.
yeah. That's funny. It's funny.
And also pulling legendaries in those sets was not easy.
No, it's a different model then. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, I like that James White is acknowledging secondary market sealed product needs some level of attention and they're trying.
Yeah. And
That's
he
that's
gave
what it
us
boils
yeah.
down to
Yeah.
me. It's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
apparently they've been doing it for months, which is neat. I'm glad they actually said something about it instead of keeping it all hush hush and whatever.
Yeah, it gave us a peek behind the curtain, and I think it's really cool how it wasn't and we're doing this. It's
Yeah.
we did this a while ago.
Yeah, we did this a while ago and yeah, it's fine.
No big deal.
Yeah. It's good. It helps restore faith for me because
It did for me.
I'm not selling any of my old sealed stuff. I wasn't planning on it, even when we were talking about it a few weeks ago. But now it's like, okay, that's a little less sweaty.
Yeah, right. Right.
I was definitely like, am I gonna feel real sad someday when all this stuff goes to zero? Is it
Yeah.
gonna hold up?
Yeah.
And this
I
makes it
did
feel a little less terrifying.
yeah. I did see some things are moving though. Like a bunch of cases of Everfest sold since.
Yeah,
Not
Everfest
like
last week's update was up 7.5%. So,
now by that I mean 8 cases. But that
well, and to be fair, none of this. Well, as far as I can tell, none of this impacts the market. We'll see what next week and the week after look like, but none of this impacts the market heavily because the demand is limited, the supply
right.
is strong. Like just what's already in the market. That's where it's like, yeah, it's a great policy, but it's a little bit lagging. It's a little bit, there's already too much in the market, sort of thing. So we'll see. And I think heavy hitters is going to be the same way based on the TCG player sellout with the special card. Now, granted, it was not a very good like package because it had the blitz decks. I don't think anyone cares about that.
Right.
So
I
it
mean,
could just be the structure of the package more than anything.
sure.
But that took over a week to sell out, and it was
Sure.
only 1,500 of them
Sure.
with an exclusive promo. Yeah, and it just didn't sell. I remember like Tails sold out in like 2 hours or something.
I still have my Tails first case from that bundle.
Yeah, I do too, and the little certificate and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on a trip in a foreign country on a lake on a little like paddle boat thing, trying to get that order to go through with like
I
limited internet
remember that.
access. Yeah, I was like losing it trying to get. And my dad's like, "You need to calm down." He's like, "You might be letting your emotions get away with you here because you're freaking out over this."
Yeah.
I was freaking out.
And I don't know, but I mean, it's no
Sure.
big. It's definitely caused a turn for Everfest because if you look back in like November, there were cases selling sub 200.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing 3 cases that sold for 174.
In November. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my market data doesn't show that, so that was a very short spurt.
No, it was it was one seller because someone ordered 3.
Got it. Yeah, I mean that is a good price for it. The lowest I have over the last it's called 6 months is 211.
Yeah. There were
Maybe not
plenty
6
that
months, 3 months maybe.
there's plenty that sold at sub 200. So to see it sitting now at like 250.
233. Oh, it's at 250 now. Okay.
Yeah, it's at 245.
We're gonna get a plus in the market update. It's
It's at
233 as of
yeah,
last week.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. Oh my god. Is all
245
this
plus
like
$3 shipping.
pre 2.0 stuff gonna start going bonkers?
I think so. I mean, we're getting to that distance, right? We've been in
It
2.0
is.
for a
Old.
while now. It was Uprising that started it,
It is.
right?
Yeah. Yep. It's old. You're right. I mean, and that old stuff is old,
Yeah, Uprising is
I
not new
I
anymore.
bet everyone else came to the same conclusion we just did. That Tails is probably the thing that they burned the unlimited on. And
Oh, I'm
so
not talking
everyone's
about Tails.
buying.
I'm talking about Everfest.
Oh.
All
Wait,
those
what
numbers
was?
were Everfest that I was talking about.
Oh, I thought you said Tails.
No,
Okay.
no, this is all
Well,
Everfest.
then that's not going to go up too much because it was already at 240.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's fine though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying go buy all your Everfest.
No,
Uh,
no,
I have.
because the singles that are probably going to see play have already spiked as well. Like you see, Blood on Our Hands wasn't very expensive before, but now it
That's
is up.
actually the main thing, I bet, is the EV.
And Swing Big, yeah, EV, yeah. If you can get this low, there are cards of value. Although it did have a bad print run.
It did
Or
all your
like
typical
quality
ones.
wise, I
Yeah.
opened two. This is a set that I opened 5 cases of, and I think two of them, every single Majestic had a white like.
It's like nick in the
n-
edge, right?
It's too big to call it a nick though, but it was consistent. It was like,
Yeah, it was in the same spot.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was probably half an inch long, but so
Oh, I think when we were doing it on video, I could only see the like where it hit the edge. There was like a little nick at the top,
yeah, yeah.
but it was a line straight through, you're saying?
No, it was like a horizontal at the top, in the black border. There's just a white, like the paper behind it, like
Huh.
it got ripped,
Yeah.
but it was only on Majestics.
There you go. All
The
you need is a
legendaries were fine.
BGS 10.0 of any Majestic in Everfest, and you have made your money forever.
I don't know about any,
No, you're not. There's no
because I mean
financial advice on this channel.
you still have Silver Palms at $18.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's such a sad card.
You still have Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, which is a playable card at sub $2.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying Everfest is like crazy. We got
Spring
time.
Tidings, hell of a card, 23 cents. Like,
So, if you were running this, what would be your target? Because I think so. Here's something he said in the interview. He's like, even Monarch in a few years from now is going to be seen as a really valuable thing,
absolutely.
which for one is like kind of a throw some mud in your face sort of argument because everyone's like Monarch's garbage, right? Which is good. I think he should throw
Yeah,
that mud back. But
yeah,
the reality is, like, in a few years, it will be hard to come by, especially if they keep printing stuff that's like themed on it, right?
right,
Another
absolutely.
Dusk Till Dawn, or that sort of thing, right? It
Yeah,
will
we talk
get
about the
bought up.
cycle, we talk about the rotation and coming back to things. Even
Yeah.
if
So,
it's coming back to a class, it can
well,
trigger
exactly.
certain cards.
Yeah. Anytime Prism comes back, guess what happens? Monarch sells. We've
Right.
talked about it so many times. So, question: how long is the right amount of time? Should they be targeting 5 years of on the shelf before prices start to move?
Like I said earlier, I think they should target 2 to 3 years.
All right. So what does
So
that
the
mean for, because there's 2019 was WTR Arc Crew, right?
yeah,
So
we're past it. But this is like the new goal that they're setting now.
well, that's what I'm
Is what
trying to
I'm
think. Mon was 2020. Was that a 2020 product? Sheesh. So then we're at 4 years now on Mon,
yes.
theoretically. I mean, I don't actually remember when that came out. That's crazy. That is
2021,
crazy. Oh, it was
May
2021.
7th.
Okay. Okay, so we're right there then. We're at the
Yeah.
3-year mark as of May.
Yeah.
And you think if you were engineering it, you'd want it to go up around this time.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
I still, and I said this in one of my market updates, I still think 4 to 5 years on a shelf is fine.
Sure, that's probably what it'll end up being. If you ask me what I think it'll end up being, I think it'll be 4 to 5 years for these early sets.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I want it to be consistently. Like, I want Uprising on the shelf for 4 years so they can cycle it at least once in the story.
yeah, yeah. So you can
You
get
know?
back to it. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. At least once,
and
maybe twice in some cases.
maybe the cycling back to it is around that time. It should start just before
To
it should start
start
going up. So it's
exactly.
still available,
It
but then
shouldn't
we'll
price
help
spike then.
elevate it.
Yes, exactly. It shouldn't price spike then, but shortly after that set, given steady sales,
Yeah,
then it should start to move up
that is what
because
will
it's like
knock
we've
the
seen it twice.
remaining stock off
That's
the shelf.
yeah, that would be my ideal personally because that gives you your player market. Therefore, you can always get your play pieces, even if it's an older set, quote unquote, right? Revisited. Um, and then the collectors are patient. I mean, a 5-year time frames. I think we've talked about that since the very beginning of this channel. Like 5 years, that's kind of the time you have to average out gains on any sealed product or, card product.
Yeah, anything earlier than that's kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, it may happen, but don't get your hopes up. Don't
No,
pretend
don't
that's the
expect anything to
norm.
happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't expect
So,
anything to happen from any of this. It's all
yeah,
speculation.
of course. So yeah, I think 4 to 5 year time frame. If they can manage that with their warehouse releases, wave, slowly trickling it out until the end, and then burn the rest basically.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had
Maybe
asked me
they
what I
do.
think will happen, it's what you just said. But
Maybe that's what they do. Actually, that would actually be a really good way to engineer this from an internal standpoint. You keep your warehouse.
mhm,
You have called a 3-year, 4-year revisit plan, right? Because of the circle,
yeah,
and
send it to
you're
distribution as
keeping
needed.
it. Yeah, as needed. Reprint if needed. Small prints, whatever you need. Probably not, but if needed, and that in 3 years you will revisit because of the timeliness of the story progression.
Yeah.
And at that point, that's basically the last bit you'll wave out. And then anything after that, like second release, that second visit where everyone spikes the product again, after that, everything else gets burned.
Yeah.
That would actually be really good. And it also gives them a set timetable on how long they have to store something, right?
Yeah. And then they can rotate it.
Which, yeah, if you have a fixed price versus variable price, that is way easier to manage from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
And that also means they don't need to increase warehouse space except by the expansion of the population of the players, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you don't have to,
Which is
X
why
set
they
is
have
going
this.
out when A set is coming in. Specifically, we will burn the rest of this. So we
Right.
never have to have bigger space.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
whole
man, that's so
holding
good.
extra content or holding extra boxes back is in the hopes that the player base does grow. So if the player base does grow, there's cards for
They're
them.
available. Yeah. No, that's actually really, if that's what they're doing, genius. If it's not what they're doing, I hope you're listening, James. Here's some free advice. I'm sure there's a lot more factors involved
Yeah,
that we don't know
absolutely.
anything
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely. We are daydreaming like this is an
Yeah,
easy
absolutely.
thing to manage. This
No,
is a
not at all.
massive,
Yeah.
even though it's a small game, it is still a massive ship
International
that you
5
are steering.
warehouses.
It does
Yeah.
not turn quick,
No.
but
But I
somehow
like it.
they are turning quick.
Yep. All right. Next topic that they talked about, which is probably a little spicy or controversial. M Heroes.
I don't think it's spicy.
No?
No.
A lot of people hate it. Like it's a big deal. Well, no, it's not a big deal. People are making a big deal on Twitter where people make nothing big deals. So let's just be fair.
Yeah, like, okay. What M Hero is over $20?
Well, that was his point back.
What
Was
M
that
Hero
they're
is
still all
like,
cheap, so deal with it.
yeah,
He didn't say it
yeah,
that way. I'm
yeah.
not quoting him, but it was basically like, yeah, $5 is kind of the most expensive one. Is that big of a deal for a hero?
Right, and exactly. So, and when do you need that card, right? Like, at what level of competitive play? You need that card because it's not a token, so you can't
Yeah,
just use whatever. But
yeah.
until you're at like an actual event, not an armory, like I feel like you can slide with a young version at an armory.
Oh, I did all the time. No one
Yeah,
ever said a word. Actually, no,
right.
that's not true. Occasionally, people will be like, "Oh, that's the young one."
Yeah,
And once I even put my life out as the young health, they're like, "You have more health than that." I was like,
yeah,
"Oh yeah, you're right."
yeah, yeah. No, it's like it's if a new player showed up and didn't have the adult ebb, I was just like, okay,
Who's
well,
gonna
that's
crap
fine.
out
No
that?
one,
Yeah,
not a single
no,
person.
not at all.
Which is another thing they touched on, and we'll get into it more about how armory should be more casual, which I strongly
Yeah,
agree on.
yeah.
But um,
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I think if you don't want to spend the money, and he even said this, which is, again, more praise to James. This is so weird because I was just upset with a lot of this stuff not that long ago, but now I'm like, this is the right take. I'm glad he came out and had this interview because he basically addressed most of the complaints in my mind. But
yeah,
specifically on this, he, to his credit, said something Magic would never say, which is tokens are fine. Who cares?
yeah,
Like short of a tournament, like who cares?
yeah,
So just like, make your own, make your proxy, whatever. It,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. If you're really not that committed to the hero, don't worry about it. And when you are, you'll be willing to spend $5.
correct. It's the price
100%.
of a pack. It's like,
That's a good way of putting it. That's a very good way of putting it.
Are you going to open a pack of the game that you play? Yes. Okay. It's the same price.
Holy crap. So I just went to TCG Player just to see.
Are they? They're
Literally,
not $5, are they?
no, the most expensive one is Prism, right? The new one. And it's $4.43. So it's $5.
Yeah.
That's the most expensive one. And that's, of course, it's Prism,
It's
right?
Prism, waifu tax, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's 443. And then the next one is the Professor.
Sure.
And then Dash for 3. It's like, yeah. The rest are pretty much sub $1, sub $2.
Right, because you can only get the Professor in the round the table.
Yeah, same with Melody. She's up there.
Yeah. Because you have to buy the whole expensive thing, or you can just buy the single.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay then. They do pay attention to the secondary market.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and they should.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they came out and said that because other games won't. Um, but I don't know. I think it's important when you make your game and you, from the beginning, say that you want to be for the players and the collectors and have both, support both. And I think that's exactly what the interview did for the collectors, while this event did for the players, because everyone looked like they had a great time. And it looked super fun. There was great cosplays. I think they are doing it. I think they are. I wish they had come out and said this collector stuff sooner, but I guess it's better now than never, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think it was intentional counter PR to the bad press with Rudy.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously something, and not to say they're like beefing or anything, just, that comes out. Obviously, everyone on the internet talked about it. It
Yeah.
just was. And then, this interview happens and he knows what questions he's going to get from the crowd.
Yes.
Like, we're all thinking and talking about the same crap. So, of course, he knows he has
Yeah.
an idea
Of
and he's
course.
prepped for it,
Yeah.
which is exactly what he did. Good job. Like that's how you do PR. And he's like, let me address your concerns in a way that makes sense and is also, this is the part that made it more genuine. It wasn't just PR, is that some of the solutions are 6 months old.
Yeah.
They did this already. They figured this out
And
and
they didn't
decided to
rush
change
to the
it. They
press and
didn't.
announce it on
Exactly.
Twitter and
It's not just a we're all for the community announcement while we screw you over. It was yeah, we did this and this is working and this is what we're doing. So death
making changes
match.
and seeing what happens.
Yeah. Death match.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about death match?
The Fable or the being the original name of Flesh and Blood?
I mean, I feel like it's linked.
Yeah. Of course.
So it was originally death match. I wonder if originally UPF was a actual free
Was
for all.
the format.
Yeah, but it wasn't UPF. It was a free for all. Because if you think about it, the whole design space is like you're in an arena the whole
Yeah.
time.
So I wonder if
Right.
this landmark is the original game mode.
The idea. Yeah, exactly. The gladiator style, you get worn down and then die. Like
Yeah.
that feels core to the whole idea of Flesh and Blood.
I wonder if
And
it'll get to the point where you'll be able to use these landmarks. Like, wonder if UPF gets to the point where it actually is. I wouldn't say competitive because I don't think it can be, but like as competitive as it could be, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Kind of like CEDH.
Mm-hmm.
And these landmarks are kind of like your theme, or like you build the deck for an event that's going to be played in this landmark. You know what I'm saying? Like you show up to
Yes.
an arena, a
Yeah.
deathmatch event, and it's going to be the deathmatch arena, or is it going to be library, or is it going to be like these different? Obviously, the other ones don't work quite as well as this, but just having these down the road the options to change up UPF. Like basically a new layer of a rule, like one more rule on top of everything else, or one change to rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely experimenting with that. Will it always be like, will there be a bunch of them? I don't know. I think
No.
one will live and the rest will die. And I bet the first one to live will be a singleton format. Will somehow reward using cards that aren't, red and blue, essentially,
Yeah.
to allow that use of the cards that no one uses right now, right? Because I have from the shop perspective, I would say 90% of my sales are singleton, which
Yeah.
means they're for
Commander.
EDH, they're for Commander, right? And that is what keeps a strong, healthy secondary market that makes it worth shops carrying your product, because they can sell the singles and they will move because there's a reason.
Right.
Right now, I don't see that so much in Flesh and Blood. And I mean, I'm tiny when it comes to Flesh and Blood, so I could be wrong, but I don't see it as much. And the reality is that would change the dynamic of all these cards that are sitting in everyone's house,
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing the same deck for a long time and not needed to get anything. No singles.
Yep. And I've heard people talking about various singleton experiments out there.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if they're going to be doing one. I think it would be interesting if we always pin stuff on this, but if PvE was something like that,
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work. The only way I could imagine is like if you got cards along the way, so your deck could be more consistent as you
Yeah. If
level up.
PvE is a legacy thing, I think it'd be fun to have like almost like a product, like a
Mm,
like a booster box of packs meant for PvE, and you have these starter blitz decks, right? And then so you play
mm,
your deck, and then you beat the first boss as a team, so everyone gets to open a pack.
and you can add stuff in,
Yeah,
trade, whatever,
yeah,
sell. Yeah,
yeah,
sell to the shop or whatever
right,
for gold in the game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
would be cool. That'd be
yeah,
cool. Yeah, yeah, something like that. I don't know what the answer is, but yeah, I think a singleton format. I think deathmatch style, like you can kill anyone in the arena, 4 player, like not necessarily PvE style, but just like we're fighting and I can kill anyone. I think that helps open things up a bit.
yeah,
I always felt like the round robin thing was too limited.
yeah. No, I think for the game to really keep growing, like it's attracted competitive players very well, but it needs that hook to get casual players interested.
Yep.
And playing with your friends alongside your friends is a very easy way to get people into that.
Let's transition to the armory topic because it's totally related.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that came up, they were talking about XP
Yeah.
and how there's been a change and the impact of that, etc. And one of the things he said was that the one of the drivers for changing XP the way they did was to basically there was concerns globally, essentially, that the armories were becoming way too competitive because it was the only way to XP up to get the invites and different things that you needed, right? You had to be at a certain limit threshold. So what you did, you grinded every X or armory you could, which makes sense from a competitive standpoint, but it was
Yeah.
causing people to not play in the armories because it was too difficult to learn. So
Right, because you
now
have people
there's
there wanting to win every time. Well,
yeah,
obviously you go to win, but
like no, but like yeah,
yeah,
fighting to win at
yeah,
all
spiking.
costs. Yeah, spiking. Yeah, basically, there's no way you can play an off meta deck and have a good night. Um, so, anyways, it sounds like that is part of that change, and that's something they really wanted to drive towards. Did they succeed?
I don't know. I can't make it to my armory this week, so I can't tell you.
Have the last few armories felt less cutthroat and competitive?
Yeah, but ours was never really cutthroat and competitive.
That's
I
true.
guess
We
there
didn't really
was
have
there was a
XP to
period
grind.
where it was, but like among friends, not. I don't think it's ever been. I would never have called it cutthroat, but I don't know. Trying to think of a way to describe it. It was competitive. Like people played to win, still do, but it's hard to describe. I think just because the group hasn't grown, like the armory hasn't grown that many new players, and so it's really just the same people playing each other over and over again every week. It's just become kind of casual in that sense, in that everyone knows each other's try hard level, and we're all not super try hard, and most of us are there to have fun. But then we do get new players that come in, and they just get slammed because it's very hard to pull back in this game.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Because if you
I
pull
feel like
back a little bit, one, it's obvious to the new player, which doesn't feel good, and then two, you pull back, it's you're out, you're done. You can't really. You can have off turns, sure, but and just even you can lose in deck construction when it comes to draft.
well, yeah, for draft, that's yeah.
And we have been doing a lot of draft, which is there to help encourage new players to show up, but at the same time, um, anything more casual than that, like the Blitz precons, we did that once, and one person showed up that was new, I think. But even then, I don't know. I think Flesh and Blood is it's much better taught when you're teaching two new players, because then you can have them play against each other. I do not think it works throwing a new player in to an armory of veteran players who've been playing for years already. If that makes sense. Like, obviously, they will be nice, they will be kind, they will try and help the new player, but that new player is not walking away with a win.
Well, that's not very fun.
Right, exactly, and then they don't come back. And that I think is the problem. So that's why I think there needs to be some kind of more casual. But I don't know what that is besides PvE. But even then, like, do you go to your local armory for PvE? Probably not. It's probably more of a kitchen table kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how it's structured, but probably yeah. Unless they give armory kits for PvE armories,
Unless
special
UPF,
rewards.
yeah. Unless they make UPF somewhat armory thing, because then like you don't go for the new player right away, right? And you let them not come in last out of the four players. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So then they feel good, like they weren't the first one out, because you target your buddy because
You don't want to be mean to the new person.
right, and you know your buddy's not going to be mad about it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
know. There's things to think about, but player wise, I think they're doing a great job for competitive, but looking to expand the game and increase the player base. I think they have the competitive players. They just need to figure out how to get the casual players. And another thing that they talked about, kind of leading into that, is auxiliary products. So we're going to be
Yeah.
getting
Well,
more of those.
I think it was described as mini sets.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means. We don't know what that means, but I'm assuming we had a good conversation about this
we were
with.
talking about mass. We went down a hole. We were talking about
We
master
did.
sets.
It was so funny. It was so funny. We just got nerded out. Your wife came into the Discord and then she just left the Discord. She didn't say a word. She came in. She was like,
Yeah, she
"Oh,"
muted
and then
herself and
just
was like, "Are you
left.
guys just gonna be talking about Flesh and Blood? Because I'm just gonna leave." And then she
She
just left.
did. I didn't even. I looked
She
up.
didn't
I was
even
like, "Oh,
say
she's
bye.
not even
She
in
was
the
like,
channel anymore."
and gone.
Gone. And we did. We got down a hole. But yeah, what it boiled down to was there was this little bit of a spoiler. It was talking about, well, actually, it was talking about Olympia. That's what
Mm-hmm.
started the conversation. Olympia doesn't have his payoff, right? He builds gold, but doesn't have a way to do anything with it. And James said that is coming very soon. And then he launched into this little side conversation about these mini sets, which it sounded like it was related to this Olympia payoff card coming out, and essentially how they're using it to manage, like they're changing print size runs, right? Print runs, and they're using the mini sets to manage cards that are needed. so that they can get cards that are needed out into the world without having to do an overprint of the booster boxes. Very interesting little conversation. It's one of the better like chunks of data we got out of that interview throughout that whole thing. But yeah, so anyways, our speculation was master product was one thing. Obviously, we have the current supplemental structure, right? The supplemental products, which I don't think is what they were talking about based on
No,
what he
they
was
don't think.
saying.
No, they just said they're not doing this. So,
Yeah, and then with what we have out, your Reinar versus
Dorinthia.
Thea, yeah, set, and then the Professor set, right?
Mhm.
Those are these multiplayer one box like product things that have a theme, a structure, blah blah blah. I honestly I lean towards that. I think our conversation kind of landed. That's probably the most likely.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense between us heavy hitters in the next set to have a heavy hitters themed 4-player product with pre-con, either CC or Blitz, whatever. Special M's, special, cards in there
Yeah,
to make them
glistening still
desirable.
only in that one
That's
product.
that's that's what I mean. Do that again, right? There's no reason not to. It worked.
Yeah,
And that's where Olympia gets his payoff,
but
right?
don't make them one ofs in the deck.
I mean, they might. But you see, those products can be reprinted infinitely.
Yeah.
That's why it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. It's not like the booster box where
Well,
they
no,
have to
it's just
kind of
not player
treat it.
friendly when it feels weird that you have to buy 3 of these precons.
You don't have to buy the precons. You can buy it on TCG Player.
What, a single card?
Yeah.
That costs almost as much as the precon?
You don't have to buy the whole thing. It's your choice.
Yeah, I know. But like when I bought my glistenings, they were like a couple, like I just didn't want the bulk of the rest of the stuff in my house.
Exactly.
And they were like, but the difference was under $5.
Yeah. All the values in one card. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Especially for a side product that can be printed infinitely.
And it's not even rainbow, so it can't match my rainbow deck.
Now we find out where the real salt is.
Yes.
It's not
The
shiny.
only non-shiny cards
It's
in that
bullshit,
deck,
man. My whole deck is shiny, but there's one card.
that card, and the Command and Conquers.
Are you sure there's no prize wall version of it or anything?
Yeah.
No, okay.
I don't know.
It's
Another
okay.
idea that came into my head was, you know how Magic comes out or used to come out with those challenger decks
Yeah.
that like you could rip open and play at your local standard night and maybe walk away with a win,
Mm-hmm.
but probably not. But they weren't like bringing a Blitz precon to a Blitz armory. It's not that
Yeah.
bad. I wonder if they come out with CC decks, maybe price them around 50, $60, and then you have a CC deck. And then maybe maybe they come out with an Olympia CC deck and the payoffs in there.
Yeah. 100% very possible. I think that's up there with the
Because then
possibilities.
that gives every set you have these come out for each hero. So anyone that wants to start playing a hero can just jump right in and then upgrade after trying it.
Because that would be an easier way to come in than drafting.
Right.
Like it actually would be, even though CC is a little bit challenging. If it came with like the little, how the Blitz came with like, this is a little hard, this is easy, here's what they're trying to do. If it came with a little booklet that said, this is how Olympia is supposed to play,
Correct.
Here is your sideboard, cheat sheet.
Here
right?
is a way
Like,
to play.
wouldn't that be cool if it gave you a sideboard cheat sheet? It's like, this is how you want to play against this person. This is how you want to play against this person.
Oh, absolutely.
And just let
lean
you
into
at
the competitive side, but just give it to the player. Give it that information.
Yeah, so they can start with a handbook, which I think that's a very good way to get people in deep fast. And then also the other thing, and I think this leans a little bit more into trying to draw in more players at a somewhat casual rate. If those types of products were sold in a 2-pack or 4-pack, so that and they're balanced against each other, like they try to do with the Magic, Commander products. Essentially, you buy this with your friends, or each of you buy one of them. Maybe they aren't all in one product, right? Like the Commander ones you can buy individually, right? But they are balanced against each other, or maybe they have a rating or something, so across sets what you can play that are balanced,
Right.
so that you could literally just jump in with a set, right? Your heavy hitters, group or whatever, and you're playing balanced stuff. I know they've already tried to do that. They did a pretty good job of that with the blitz decks for outsiders, right? That's where they first tried to say this is balanced. These are at the same power level as much as possible.
Right.
If
And
they
then you
did
could,
that with CC, I think that would bring your casual in, because you could just make the rule for the armory. Everyone's playing this set. Everyone's playing this whatever, which they tried to do with the blitz thing. It didn't go very well.
yeah, I don't know if the armory thing is right, but I could see the path
It
I was
keeps it
going
from
down.
being super competitive though, and they need the casual to let the new players learn. That's the whole point.
I don't think the casual players need to go to the armory.
They literally just said that's what they want
That's
the
what they
armories to
want
be.
to do.
That's what they want the armories to be.
But I
If
don't
you're
think
being
casual.
competitive, they want you to do it elsewhere.
Yes, but I don't know if that works.
Well, it might not work in our shop, but we have a very low population, so very low population of pretty competitive people.
Yes. Well, I think we're not. Yeah. Yes. You're right.
I mean, just rating wise, we had a number of people that were in the top 100. So
Right. Yes, we are a very good shop. So I think that is also lends into why when new people show up and want to learn the game, they don't.
they leave. They're gone.
But I think it could foster a group of players, casual players that collect these CC decks and play them at home once every couple months. Like you and I, how we collect and pick up the pre-con Magic deck, commander decks, and when we play Magic, we don't play our constructed decks. We play our pre-cons.
Yeah. I think the killer app for this is forcing the competitive players to not give a crap and to play jank stuff. That's the key. That's what Commander did for Magic. It was always jank because it was singleton, right?
Yeah.
Getting competitive players to sit down and mess around with jank and be okay playing jank with new players in a way that no one gives a crap, right? That's the key.
I think it works in Magic, but I don't think it works in Flesh and Blood. I think Flesh and Blood is
It doesn't
too
yet,
tight
and
of a
that's
game.
why it needs more of it. No,
Yeah.
that's not true. There's plenty of jank decks. There's tons of UPF jank decks. There's tons of Blitz jank decks. That Flesh and Blood can do it.
Yeah, it can.
Definitely can do it. Like,
But
remember the
what is
storm? What's the
forcing
storm
you
one
to do it?
for Kano? Where it's like draw a card, does
Brainstorm.
1 damage with all the
Brainstorm.
brainstorm style decks. There's jank. It's just no one plays it because you just lose and everyone's being too competitive. If you can force the competitive players to sit down and say, I'm just going to play janky stuff for the new players, that's how you get the community to build itself.
Right.
Work
So
with
then,
other things.
but then you're building custom armories.
That's what I'm saying. These products would be that.
Yeah.
Your CC deck is not a competitive CC deck. The set that I'm talking about of like 4 decks from heavy hitters,
Yeah.
None of them are competitive, just like commander decks in Magic, right? They're all jank, give you an idea, right? Have a payoff, but not really efficient.
That's not what I want out of those decks. That's not what I was saying.
You do not want a competitive version in that product.
That
would be a terrible idea. Why would you do that? That booster boxes would never sell ever again.
What do you mean? No,
if
it's
you
like
had a highly competitive deck.
Yeah.
Pre-conned?
Yeah.
Why would you ever open a box?
Why do people open Magic boxes when they can buy a Challenger box?
Challenger is not competitive.
It's almost. It's close.
No, it's not.
It's not Blitz bad. It's not Blitz bad.
They are not. No, they are not competitive.
I've heard that they print those decks based on the competitive scene, but are just a couple cards short. Like they have 1, 2 ofs instead of 4 ofs of certain key cards. So it has maybe
if they did that,
one
all
of
you're
3
doing
of
is
the
encouraging
Majestics.
the same thing you already have in Flesh and Blood, which is a hyper competitive environment where no one can start. I mean, I don't see why you would do that. They already have that. You're serving the wrong customer, the customer that's already engaged.
Well, we switched topics of getting new players to be competitive or giving them a chance to be competitive, or just forcing them into the casual?
Well, if
Like,
you
which bucket do you
force
want them to go into?
no, I guess you're I maybe I didn't say the way I was thinking about it. Casual leads to competitive.
Not,
That's reality. It does.
it
It
can.
does. Yes, it does. 10% of people that play a casual version of a game get competitive because they are competitive, right?
Sure, I believe that. That makes sense.
It's a pipeline, right? It's a pipeline. That's how I look at it, right? The casual is the broad audience, right? And then you refine it down, and some of them get a little more serious and buy some custom this, that, or the other, right? And then you refine it down, and then you get people that are like, I'm gonna win the worlds, right? And then you refine it down, and you realize that only a few people there actually have a chance of winning world. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the pipeline they need to build. They don't have the top of that funnel at all. They
Right.
only have the last like 25%, which is that I'm going to win worlds is basically where it starts. This is where most people start. They're like, I'm going to be the best flesh and blood player ever. And then they get quickly disillusioned because they get their butts kicked immediately. And that dream is dead instantly, which is why you need to have the levels in between. So they continue to have that hope until they reach the peak of their ability and actually take the time to reach the peak of their ability. I think 90% of people quit flesh and blood quit before they even attempt to get to what their peak ability would be because they're frustrated immediately.
How many Flesh and Blood players don't make it to an armory ever? I mean, like, get interested in the game and don't make it to an armory.
Probably not that many,
Right.
but most of the people that go to an armory for the first time don't go back.
They usually make it like, I didn't mean like they show up to one and never again. It's usually like they show up to two or three and then
Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah,
fade
two or
out.
three. But that's not enough to keep the
No,
game alive.
no, no.
You need equal number coming in is coming out at least plus more.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also you have to like if they're not going to they're going to show up to draft because they're not going to throw down the money to build a CC deck or even a Blitz deck. Like just because you're building a Blitz deck, yeah, there are more cost efficient heroes, but to build a deck with. But if you're looking to build a competitive deck, you still need those legendary equipments for Blitz. So
So you're
Blitz and
saying these
CC.
CC products have legendary equipment, have
Hmm.
top tier everything. It's
No,
just a few
no, no,
cards
no, no.
shy of efficient.
I'm not saying top tier everything. I'm saying like step below. So
What does
like
that mean? I
like
don't think I understand.
a a deck that teaches you how to play the new hero. You can bring to your armory and be competitive, but you couldn't bring to an event and be competitive.
Is that even something people need? Our first time players were bringing pretty competitive decks, weren't they?
No.
I
Every single
disagree.
one of the new players that were coming in, unless they came from another card game or like right from Magic, even the ones that are coming right from Magic, they look at the prices of some of the L's and they're like, "What?" But then they're like, "Oh, I only need to buy one. I don't have to buy four," because their price is skewed because of the amount of cards that you actually have to
I,
need
I
to get a
really
card.
don't think they need to do more to address the player pricing situation.
It's not the player pricing situation; it's the on ramp of getting new players a playable deck cost efficiently.
I don't know. I
Because if
guess,
your main pipeline is competitive, the competitive scene, right? That's the one thing that they really nail down and want to do. What does that roadmap look like? You
well,
learn the game and then go drop how much on a deck?
yeah, it's first off, anyone competitive, price is not the factor. It's just not.
Okay.
And anyone that plays competitive card games competitively knows they're spending hundreds of dollars on their deck.
Yes.
So that's not the factor for competitive. It's the factor for casuals who don't want to spend that money for something they're not competitive about, right?
Right. So then you're pushing away the casuals. You're saying there's no room for you here.
Right. But I think the skill factor or the difficulty of adopting the game is actually what's chasing people way faster than the deck.
But you don't know that until you get the deck. So here's the power level that I'm thinking, right? I'm playing against a new player. I give my new player my decked out Dory deck, right? And then I pick up one of these challenger decks and I play that. I should probably be able to beat the new player with that, if that makes sense.
I see. I just again
So
think
like the
that's
veteran player
targeting
should be
the
able to beat a
wrong part
new
of the market.
player.
I get it. I'm just saying that
I'm talking
product
about
doesn't
that what the power
target
level
any of them
is.
though.
But it's not
No,
they're
I
still
get it.
going to need singles. They're still going to open boxes to finish the deck. It's not a complete deck. It doesn't have all the legendaries. It doesn't have a full play set of majestics.
I mean, that's like 5 cards, 10 cards. Like that doesn't move boxes and it doesn't change the dynamic of the market, which is that
No.
it's
When you're talking about the sealed market boxes, I think the really the big way you're going to move those now that we don't have the um what are they called? The expansion, the non-draftable sets. Now that all sets are draftable, it's going to depend on the limited and how good it is. Like, because then when people go back and want to revisit it, like I don't have an urge to play Monarch Limited, but I would play Tails Limited for fun, even though I didn't like it at the point.
can
At the
you even
time, I
play
liked it.
Tails limited with the number of bands they have?
What?
Can you even play it limited with the number of bands?
Bans don't affect limited.
Oh, you can still do ball lightning and
Yeah, yeah. Tails
uh,
Limited. Yeah, Tails Draft. You can do Ball Lightning.
that's so funny. That's
Yeah,
so busted.
yeah.
Wasn't it a common too? So like
Yes,
everyone has ball
it's
lightning.
everywhere. It's all over the place.
I don't think I realized that. That's hilarious. It's been
That's why
so
it's
long
fun.
since Tails Limited. Um, I still think you're addressing the wrong problem, and I think even he hinted at what they're trying to address with the whole idea of they're trying to make armories casual. They're trying to get a casual situation that keeps players that are not competitive engaged
Yes,
because that
and that would
doesn't
be great.
exist currently.
Yes, that would be great.
And and to do that, you need products that are not targeting becoming competitive. That's how I look at it.
So what is it targeting? Just staying casual?
Yeah, casual players. Because what happens is 10% of those will decide they want to get competitive, right? They like the game so much, it's so tight, they start to get to the limits of what casual can actually do, right? And they start it's like the training wheels of Commander up to CEDH, right? Like people play Commander, then they upgrade their decks, then they get a
Yeah,
little bit better, then they find a few other things, and they get some expensive staples. Then before you know it, they're in CEDH buying the most expensive stuff and spending thousands of dollars on deck. That's the pipeline you need to build. Not everyone goes all the way, right? Lots of people just play at home. Lots of girlfriends, wives, or whatever just play the Commander decks every set, that sort of thing.
right. Or
It's
just play the Blitz decks.
yeah, exactly. Well, exactly, but that doesn't work right now currently.
Right. So what I'm
Uh,
saying is a slightly more powerful version that they can then
but you're still saying something targeting competitive. And I'm saying
you
don't target competitive.
I, wait, I'm so confused. You're saying that you're trying to get people to go and then
Uh,
build the expensive decks.
no, no, no,
Which
no.
is that not competitive?
You're missing. It's the pipeline.
Yeah.
10% of people will do that regardless. But if you introduce a product that grabs massive numbers of people,
Yes.
that 10% becomes a bigger number.
Right.
And that's what you want to do. So you need something that everyone can enjoy. And the more everyone's you can grab with that net, whatever it is the product is, the larger your 10% of competitors are, right? Because 10% of 100 versus 10% of a million, right?
Right.
So you want something that grabs everyone. That's the product you need next. And they're talking about it. I mean, they're already doing it. They doubled the size of their staff to do PvE. That's
Yeah.
exactly what that's chasing.
Yeah.
It's that pipeline, presumably. I mean, we don't know how the game's going to work yet, but
I hope so.
the idea is that what it will do, if done well, is it hooks a bunch of people that are never going to be competitive, right? Like 90% of the new people.
Yeah.
10% will be competitive. Who cares? That just adds pipeline to the competitive scene, which is great for cycling, the names at the top and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but not necessarily the goal. And all those other people, they soak up product
Yeah.
because they need little yellows, they need little weird cards, they need singletons, they need, you know what I mean, to build their little hero that's custom to them. Melody with the pummels. I'm making shit up.
Melody with pummels.
You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
goofy ass shit that people laugh about when they pull it out. That's the
Yeah.
fun.
Oh,
That's the
absolutely.
that's the that's the spot that they need to
Nine
get. They don't
pummel
have
Reinar.
that right now. What'd you say?
9 pummel Reinar.
Well, I feel like that's more on that competitive side again, but yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Trying to
That's
be mean. Trying to
competitive.
be mean.
I don't know. You put pummel on a deck, you're trying to be competitive.
I mean, not if you're Melody.
Why not?
Because I don't think Melody can be competitive. That was why it was funny. It's juxtaposition.
I don't think 9 pummel Reinar can be competitive.
Okay, but Reinhardt itself is a competitive
Sure.
potentially. I
Yes.
guess with this new
Absolutely.
set.
Absolutely. But 9 pummel Reinar, when you're discarding a bunch of random cards, then you have a
I
bunch
don't know.
of
They said that about
attack
Icelander, and
reactions
then
that
it
block.
won a battle hardened. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're going in circles, but the PvE is the pipeline.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Or something. I'm not sure if it will end up being PV. Maybe it's these mini sets. Maybe it's these mini products.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
what
certainly
are these
don't
mini
think
products?
that.
If they're PvP, they're competitive.
So Tolarian was a
Competitive.
competitive pipeline product.
No.
Exactly. And that's what they've been trying to figure out for the last 2 years.
But I also don't think it's sold
release
very
a
well.
good product that fits that. I don't know if I agree with you on that.
Okay.
I think it sold pretty well.
That's good.
When it came out, it certainly seemed like it was selling well. People were hyped about it,
That's good.
but I don't know.
I mean, I could see them doing more products like this because they reprinted Majestics in those.
Yep. And they had custom, like new stuff too,
Mhm.
like new heroes and everything too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I think that fits the description that he was laying out in the interview.
Mhm. And it's multiplayer.
Mhm.
So I could see them doing out. Maybe they come out with, like we were talking
Well,
about.
that's all I've been saying. Is like they're on a pattern, right? You
Mhm.
have the Dory thing, you have the Tolarian thing. The next one would be a heavy hitters thing, right? I assume it's either going to be a Blitz thing, hopefully
I would
not,
assume
and
it'd be
maybe a
announced
CC
already.
thing.
It was heavy hitters themed. It could be the
No,
next set themed.
no, he explicitly said it's between heavy hitters and the next set.
Yeah.
So no,
And
it's
has
not
Olympia.
announced yet. We don't. Well, yeah. The presumption is it has the Olympia payoff card in it
Yeah.
because of the way he said it.
Yeah.
So it's between now and May, and
Yeah.
there's nothing announced yet.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We haven't had it announced yet.
Oh, I thought you said I would have assumed it would be announced by now.
I would have assumed it would be announced by now if it was coming out with heavy hitters.
Oh no! I think it's gonna be heavy hitters theme though.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. That I didn't mean it was with heavy hitters. I meant as a theme, it would
Right,
be
because
the in between product is a follow on heavy hitters thing where it's gonna be. My thought is it's gonna be called deathmatch, and it has that as a permanent rule
Yeah, that'd be cool.
for that product. And maybe they're just balanced decks that these four fight well against each other. Therefore, you can have hit anyone rules. You know.
Maybe there's a promo version of the Fable.
Well, you could do promo version of the Fable. You could do a large version. Magic products have done that in the past.
Just like a
big
non-rainbow, non-foil.
Yeah, exactly.
Fable.
So it doesn't break any of their rules, but it's still like a neat little unique thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
still
that's a high
playably legal. So in case this ever does, not that this card will never become.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that's
card.
A problem there.
Exactly. Like the collector version is still sacred, or still. People aren't gonna be fighting over this to put in their decks.
Yeah, it's funny how Fable doesn't mean anything. Kind of sad.
It just means it's super rare.
But it isn't because no one wants to use them, so they're not actually rare.
No.
It's that supply and demand thing. They have a rare quote unquote supply, but the demand is so low that it's not rare.
Yeah, demand is not high for Fables.
Because they made it so they don't actually affect the game, which that's fan service, I don't want to spend $200 on it.
They bring Draconic back, and Blood of Drakai is now useful in this new Draconic
It'll
hero.
go up to $15 instead of $10. Like, good job. What? And I bet people will complain about it then too. They'll be like, it's $15 now.
Yeah. I think
I
that's
can't
just
believe a Fable is $26. That's how low it actually is.
yeah.
But that's insane. A Fable is $26. Like that's
Swing
to
big
me
is worth more.
a failure. Yeah, that's to me is a failure of its title. It's exactly Majestics are more rare than a Fable means you lied to me.
The demand is higher.
Well, exactly.
It's not more rare.
I mean, I guess it is because the demand is higher and therefore people have it in their deck. Therefore, it is actually rarer on the market.
Right. Not
Yeah,
in
that's
scarcity.
exactly. Not in like literal printing numbers.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah. Which is what the Fable is.
So, yeah. Well, and yeah, I don't know. It's sad. I get it, but it's still sad. I still like what they did with Command and Conquer. Like if
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
me, if they just did that going forward, I'd be fine.
These
because
locations and those kind of Command and Conquers.
Yeah, exactly. Make it a
Replan-
fun, different game style, and
Yeah.
make it like a beautiful piece of art, and just leave it at that. It's
Yeah.
fine.
A generic that sees a ton of play.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, and we don't know, but Guardian, Grandeur of Valahai, I don't think it's going to be very playable. I still think they're sticking with that, right? Like you said, Blood of Drakai becomes valuable when Drakai comes back. I guess. I don't know. It's possible that eventually these things become useful, but it just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. I mean, you have Arknight Shard literally tied to a hero.
Yeah.
And then you have, I mean, I have Ophidia and Heart.
They don't really count because they were before they were really thinking about it, you know?
Yeah. They're the exception.
Yeah, agreed. They are they're the exception. They are before they just started to design them so that they were never very useful.
And maybe they saw those prices and they were like, oh, maybe we don't want that.
100%. That's why they did it. They wanted to be for the player. They didn't want people to feel priced out. And so they killed the value of the Fable. But they're not Fable then. You know, they don't fit the prestige they are titled with, you know?
So you think the collector aspect of them is diminished by them not being competitively viable?
Well, yeah, we already know
it's not just market. A rarity.
Yeah, it's a player's market. Yes, it's always been a player's market. Yeah, that's why I say it should be something like Command and Conquer, because not only is that playable, it's blinged out and beautiful, right? So it's a piece of art that you might want to hold for that purpose. It's also super playable, and it's also, you know, it's a combined collector and player, you know, desire, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think that's the right move, but they stopped doing that after that one.
Fair. Yeah, it's interesting. I like it. I think they're pretty.
I like Fable being. It's a fable.
They're pretty.
It's a tale hidden from, you know, history, and you know what I mean. Like it's supposed to be epic, and they're all garbage. They're all not epic.
They're epic collectibles, though.
Are they?
Yeah.
Do you feel epic?
The landmarks?
Your Blood of Drakai?
Not Blood of Drakai, no.
You don't.
No.
Or what about the Master Cog, the most recent?
I don't even
feel
have
epic
that
when you pick that up?
No.
No. It's $32.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the landmarks.
No, I know, but those, maybe the new. Well, actually, I don't think the new one's going to go down to $10s and $15 too.
Then I'll buy it then.
No one's going to want it, you know.
I want it. I want a cold foil one.
Do you play UPF a lot?
No.
Exactly.
I just like the landmarks. This is a collector piece. I would pick that up as a collector piece.
Yeah, and you'll be able to pick it up very cheap.
I'm looking forward to it. So when it's over $100, you'll pay the other $100.
What's that?
So it's when it's 110, you'll pay 100 and I'll pay 10.
Why do you say that?
Because you'll be wrong and it's not $10. I don't think this is going to get that cheap.
Blood of Drakai is $26 and is technically playable.
Yeah.
Master Cog is $32. I don't know if that one's actually playable. Plague Hive is $65.
Yeah, but they're not pretty cards.
Okay, Corsham is $64. That's a pretty card.
Right. Yeah. Rainbow or cold foil?
I think that's both. Let's see.
Both are the same.
Let me look. You're right. Yeah, it's $99 for the cold foil. Okay. That feels a little bit better, but not that much better.
I could see it, the cold foil landing around $100.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. Because actually,
Rainbow,
you
I
know
could
what?
see being pretty cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say all these prices I've actually just been quoting have been the non-cold foils too. So
Yeah.
that's not fair. That's the other thing I do not like is that they do the rainbow version and the cold foil. I just don't like
There
that.
should be separate listings.
That would be nice,
Yeah.
God. But that's a TCG player thing. I don't think that's.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah, that would be so nice because I hate that. I hate that they're combined.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if how they do that for. Oh no, I should be able to change it. Never mind. Side tangent. We've been talking for a long time. One of the things I wanted to talk about on this podcast was I've been messing around with the now in beta your collection tracker on TCG Player.
Oh.
And it's been pretty fun.
What does it do?
It tracks your collection.
I mean, yeah, but why do you like it versus any other one out there?
Because this one, if I ever decided that I wanted to start selling again, I could export the list and then upload it to a store.
Gotcha.
Opposed to, and I also, it uses TCG Player pricing compared to what I was using before, which is the collector app, which every time I would look at it, I didn't trust the numbers.
Yeah, data is important.
And like, yes, it showed me some nice numbers, but then when I go and look elsewhere, I'm just like,
that's bullshit.
Yeah, and it wasn't consistent either. Like some were like way inflated, but some were way uninflated, deflated. But so I don't know. I was like, I think as a community just look at TCG Player, even though it's not the all end all only spot. It is the benchmark, I guess. It is a guide.
Mm-hmm. In America, for sure.
Yeah. So being able to and then I can just refresh my collection and it'll give an update and it gives like a minimum, average, and high price for your collection as a total. And so I'm guessing the real cost is somewhere between the minimum and average is probably the real cost or real value, because the high is insane because they just basically take the highest listed version of every card and there
so
are
everything's in cold foil, blinged out, etc.
No. So there's like the highest listing. And Pokemon
Oh God.
Yeah. So Pokemon's real weird. You'll have these like penny cent cards that the highest listing is like $9,900.
Yeah.
And so
I've seen those listings. I've seen that.
Yeah. And so like my collection, it's like the high is stupid because I just uploaded a bunch of Pokemon bulk, which actually I was able to find a decent amount of like $2-3 cards just in bulk.
Oh my
Pretty
God.
Interesting.
Sad face. I just found a link to heavy hitters and there's still 23 left on TCG Player.
Yeah.
It didn't even sell out yet. I thought it did. I thought it was like close to selling out like
there was like 76 on Friday. Yeah.
They only sold.
They're selling it on eBay 50? Too.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's such a bad sign for
being sold by TCG Player on eBay.
Like you couldn't get much more press than that. I mean, it is a bad bundle. Like I don't.
Yeah, it's not an attractive bundle, and
like,
people buy Flesh and Blood by the case.
Why not? It's not the case. It's a box.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Offer a case.
Well, I think the real thing is having the Blitz brick.
Sure.
If you took that out, put the promo in, and the price was reasonable, you'd sell out.
Yeah.
No
or
one
bring
wants
back the
Blitz
play
brick.
mats.
I'm the only person that gets the Blitz bricks. I don't know anyone that gets those except for me.
I might get them
I'm getting it. I still have the WTR one.
Yeah, I'll probably just do the Kasai to get the rainbow because it's the only place you can get the rainbow foil. Young Hero is in those blitz decks.
Why don't you just buy the single? Why would you get to get the other cards?
Fair point. I may just do that.
Yeah, because it'll be as much as the blitz deck.
Yeah,
exactly. Be the most
so might as well just
hero.
I'll support my local game
$10
store
hero.
and buy it there.
That's fair. Yeah, if you're buying it from the local store, that 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't feel the need to buy the entire brick. That's just me. But cool. Well, we rambled on longer than we usually do. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we sign off for the week?
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Star Wars Unlimited.
Yeah.
You mentioned it at the opener, and we didn't get there. So
Yeah. It's a hell of a game. It's really good. I'm very excited. I
played
signed
some
up.
games. You said.
Yes. Yeah, I've been playing a bunch on Force Table, which is the felt table. I don't know if anybody that plays Flesh and Blood still uses felt table, but it's a great tool to learn how to play Flesh and Blood. The same people made one for Star Wars Unlimited, and that's how I've been learning to play the game. And even after getting the demo, there are things that I was told like it seems like things are still changing.
Oh, really?
Just because new cards are coming out still, and like there's also some of the confusion might be there are starter rules, like the quick start rules.
Oh, I hate
Which,
when games do that.
yeah. So I think that was my big confusion because,
It's like ignoring a good chunk of reality.
right. So
Get you
at
into it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So at the demo, the question was asked, "What happens when you run out of cards?" And they said, "Just play it out until with what you have on the board and in your hand." The real rules,
I come to find
every time you go to draw a card and you don't have a card,
yeah.
you take 2 damage to the base.
Oh, that's even yeah, okay. Gotcha.
So I built a mill deck, and it's really fun. I haven't been able to beat the red Sabine aggro go burr deck against the AI yet with it. But this is just like I literally took the most it's literally labeled in the Star Wars database for the decks as the deck to beat. And it's at the top of the hot list and has been all week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I brewed a Chewbacca deck to try and beat it. And I get close, but not quite there. So I need to figure out what to do. But maybe there's some cards that'll come out that'll help. But basically, just alternating. It's throwing up taunts to stop the little 1/1s from pinging. So the problem is it just
Oh, I was
burns
right.
you
That is
down
the
one
strategy,
one
huh?
one 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 a bunch of
Yeah,
a
that's
bunch
what I
of
was
little guys.
saying. Yeah.
But when
Oh,
you
I didn't know
throw
Sabine was that though.
yeah, when you throw a 4/7 with Sentinel down,
Can't
you're
kill it easily.
you cannot kill it easily.
Yeah.
And especially when you're also giving them shields.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what my deck does is it heals the base, it throws out Sentinel units, which have to be attacked for first before the base. It throws out shields to protect them, and then it has some self healing, and then it also has mill cards. And there's one that is cost 4. It's double blue. So if you don't have 2 blue in your hero and base, then you have to pay 2 more, which would be 6. But I have a blue base and I'm playing Chewbacca, so I have 2 blue, so it only costs me 4. But it's to choose 2 in any order, and it's put a shield on a unit, heal 5 damage to a base, destroy a unit with 3 hit points remaining or less, or maybe it's cost 3. I forget which one. And then discard 6 cards off the top of your opponent's deck. And this is a game where their decks are made of 50 cards, and you can play 3 of these. So that's 18 cards if you play all 3 of them that you can mill off the top of their deck from that card. And then you also have a couple other cards that when they attack, discard the card off the top of your opponent's deck. So it's not the only way to mill, but they're, I don't know, it's just fun. And when you're doing that with aggro decks that are just throwing everything out on the board, it almost works. I don't know.
Yeah, you're burning up a lot of their resources,
Yeah.
but not quite there.
Right. And then you just live long enough to throw out that big chunky boy. And then there's one, it's like an 8 drop that can heal your base up to 9, I think, or 8. Basically, you can damage the ship to then heal your base when it comes out. Or it just comes out as a 6/9 sentinel in space. But Sabine is more of a ground attacker. So you also have to build your deck for, like, do you have to be more, are you going to be more aggressive or defensive in both space and ground? So you're breaking up your units. Like, there's a lot of really interesting deck building decisions in the game. And I think the first set has a wide variety of cards to build with, but also has me excited because there's going to be a total of 3 sets this year. One in, I think, May and the other one November.
Yeah, apparently they have 7 sets planned already.
Yeah, I believe it.
Which is interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. That was more than 2 minutes,
yet.
but it was fun.
It's okay. I haven't been bitten by the bug yet. I will maybe get into it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
If I do it, I probably won't be playing heavy hitters just because I don't have enough time for 2 card games.
Well, it's not out till March.
Oh, well then never mind. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
How the heck are you playing so much of it already?
On the website.
I know. I mean, I get that, but it's just
And
like
in
I didn't
Tabletop
realize
Simulator.
it's so early.
It's still early. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that early. I figured it was coming out like, next few weeks sort of thing.
There's a pre-release the first weekend of March.
That's still a ways away.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Okay.
Well, a month and 2 weeks. A month and a week.
Yeah. Okay. That's true. We're almost done with January. It's fair.
Yeah. A little over a month from Heavy Hitters pre-release.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I wanted to check in on because you mentioned it in the beginning.
Yeah, it's super fun. I can't wait to play more. I said I wasn't going to be picking up cards, but I think I'm going to be picking up cards.
Oh no, Tommy!
So, is it too late to order a case? We'll figure it out.
I don't think so. I think
All
you
right.
should get one.
All right. Well, that might be in order, and maybe we just go do a live stream for a while.
I lied. It is too late. Sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah, pre-orders are done.
It's okay.
Probably for the best.
Yes. Absolutely. But cool. All right. Well, anything else before we get out of here?
Nope. That's all I got.
All right. Well, let us know what you think about all this down in the comments. Star Wars Unlimited, are you excited? Heavy Hitters, are you excited? What do you think all these other products are going to be? Let us know. And until next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.